So you struggle with your takeaway. The club doesn't go where you want it to. You've tried drills, you've tried everything out there to try and fix it, and it still doesn't look how you want it to look. Well, today in this video, you are going to find out exactly why the club does what it does, and more importantly, you're going to know exactly how to fix it. So welcome back to the Forest of Arden, where we are talking about takeaway, and we're going to explain to you exactly what is happening in the first part of the golf swing, and we're really going to give you the information that you need to be able to figure out what happens in your takeaway, and therefore you're going to have the information you need in order to fix it and get it to move away from the ball in a much better fashion. So in today's video, you're going to learn about the 3 movements of the golf club that you are controlling in that takeaway, and you're going to learn how those 3 movements create different looks in your takeaway and which ones need to be there in order for you to get that almost that perfect takeaway that potentially you're searching for. Just before we get into the content, love you to be a subscriber if you're not already. There is a clickable link in the description box down below, or if you're going to watch until the end of the video, there's a clickable one in the corner. So I am a big believer in getting the first part of the golf swing pretty much under control, because you know, for general average golfers, handicapped golfers who potentially aren't as skilled as some of the ones that we see on TV, we really need to get things moving and get things organized quite well, because if that first part starts to get a little bit out of sync, club doesn't move where we want it to, it's very difficult with a relatively low skill level to be able to control that club and make that ball go exactly where you want it to go. So it's really important we get the takeaway correct. So let's go through exactly the 3 movements that you could be doing to the golf club to make that club move in different fashions. What I'd love you to do is, either as you're watching this video or after this video, is take a golf club and just pop it out in front of you this way and roughly try and get the golf club so it's around about level with the ground. Now, as best I can, it's not going to be exactly still. I'm going to try and keep the grip end of this golf club pretty still. I'm not going to move it too much. So using my hands, I can have these movements. I can move the club head this way and this way. So you can see that's a movement that I could do to the golf club. I could pick the club head up and I could push it more down to the ground. So there's a movement that I could do. And I could also twist the golf club either way, and you can see how that's affecting the club face. So those 3 movements I can do just through my hands and what I'm doing to the grip of the golf club. So I can move it this way, I can move it this way, and I can move it this way. And as you can imagine, I can have combinations of those things. So I could have this, or I could have this, and a twist. Lots of different combinations happening. Now, whether we like it or not, in the first part of the golf swing, we are controlling those 3 things. We have to. That's what we're doing to the golf club. If we're going to move that golf club at all, we're putting a force through the club and we're controlling those 3 movements. So let's go ahead and take a setup to this golf ball. And let's look at a golfer who would, let's say, do this with a golf club. So it moves around too much from the inside. Well, what that golfer's done is effectively they've pushed the club head down, they've moved it to their right, because if I now go into my starting position and rotate, you can see where that club head is. So yes, we can sort of look at that and say the club head's gone inside, but it's because the golf club head was pushed down and it was pushed to the right if we were referencing it in this position. So what about if a golf club was moved to the left and up? What would that look like? Well, if I go down to posture and rotate, we can see that looks a little bit like this. So again, it's not perfect, but it's a little bit closer to maybe what we'd like. So what about if I just took this starting position and if I just simply just work the club head a little bit more upwards into posture, rotate, and we'd probably say that's the closest of those 3 movements to what we'd like to see in the takeaway. So what we'd really sort of like you to do is, if your club isn't moving away from the ball as you'd like, figure out which of those movements you're adding in to create that sort of shape, and then we can start to look at taking that movement out. So the common sort of takeaway move that we see is one where we get this movement here, and unfortunately there's 3 movements happening there that we'd like to eliminate. The club has opened, the club has gone too much inside, and it's gone too much down. So when we reference it from here, that will be a club which is opened, a club which has been pushed down to the ground and to the golfer's right. So when I go into my posture and I rotate away, there's that very familiar look that we tend to see from lots of golfers. So for me, understanding what happens in that first 3 to 4 feet is much easier from this position because we can recognize, well, I've got these movements available to me, I've got these movements available to me, and I've got this movement available to me. We want the right combination, which is generally, we certainly don't want that club head being pushed down to the ground. If anything, we want that club head being raised up to the sky. We definitely don't want that club head being pushed to the right because that's your inside move, and we definitely don't want that club face being rotated open. So once you've sort of established what you're trying to do from here, take it down to the golf ball and we can start to add in what we need versus what we often see from this position here. What's a really good little exercise for you to do is once you've done that takeaway, stand up, rotate back, and you'll see exactly where that club head was and what you've done to it. If we do the correct takeaway, stand up, rotate back, and you can see here that I'm very, very different in where I was in that position. So understanding what has to happen in the takeaway is really important, because what I'm really quite passionate about in golf coaching is not so much telling you what to do, but providing you with the information, empowering you to understand a little bit more and make more informed decisions about your golf swing. So rather than me tell you what you need to do, you now have the information, you can go do a bit of research on your golf swing and you can decide for yourself what you need to add into your takeaway, what you need to take out of your takeaway, and what feels you need to have in order to play some better golf. So I certainly have a little bit of this in my golf swing, which I know is kind of this movement. So I need to take some of that out, and let's see if I can do it in this golf swing. Not too bad. I've always struggled a little bit with the takeaway, so that might look a little bit better, but something I'm continually working on. So takeaway, there are 3 things that you're doing to the club. If you can understand those, work on those, you can improve your takeaway and hit better golf shots. Thanks for watching. Usual stuff is down below in the comments box. There's a like button down there. And please give this a share if you think there's someone out there who could benefit from this information. And finally, please subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and hopefully we'll see you back here again for a future video. Thanks for watching.